Hey everyone, I just wanted to show you maybe the process by which I design an app. It might help you with some of the things you're trying to do, so I thought of a bunch of things that I might want to do, and we'll design them here for the next 5 or 10 minutes or so. I decided on a really silly app. I'm just gonna push a button and make a rectangle be drawn. So the first thing I want to do is I want to create a button. So I'm going to put a button right up there, and I'm going to call that button the rec button for drawing a rectangle. And the text will be draw rectangle. Okay, so there's my rectangle button. Of course, I need a place to draw it, so I'm going to drop a canvas in here, and I'm going to put the canvas against that screen, make it nice and big. It looks like I need to put it all the way over. There we go. Okay, and we'll call that canvas 1. That's fine. Okay, so now I have a button that draws the rectangle, and I have a canvas that accepts that. Now we need to code this. So this is going to be an on-event thing. When an event happens, I want something to happen. Now, what is it that we want the event to be? The button. So when the button is clicked, then what do we want to do? Okay, we want to draw a rectangle. So I'm going to go to my canvas, and I'm going to first, you have to set the canvas as active. You have to say, this is for canvas 1. Even if there's only one canvas, you have to do that. I want to draw a rectangle. Okay, let's see how that goes. So I click the draw rectangle button. Hey, there's a rectangle. Cool. Okay, well, but let's do more with this, right? Let's make it a little bit nicer. Let's say we want to change the color of the rectangle. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a new button. So I'm going to go over to design. I'm going to throw in another button, and I'm going to call it the color button. Change color. Okay, let's go see what we can do with that. So when I click this button, when I click the color button, what I want to do is change the color of the rectangle. Let's see, how do we set the color of the rectangle? That's going to be in here. And to do that, let's see, we need to set the fill color. So I'm going to set the fill color in here. We're going to start it as red. So you know what? Let's do RGB. So RGB is values of 255. That's the red value, the green value, and the blue value. So let's set this thing as red. So it's all red, 255, and neither blue nor green. So I've just set the fill color of the rectangle. Let's make sure that works. Okay, now we see it's a red rectangle. Okay. If I want to pick a random color, then I could set a couple of variables. I could, you know what we're going to do? We're going to set a variable called R as 255, a variable called G as 0, and a variable called B as 0. And then we're going to set this to R, G, and B. Then what do we want this button to do? We want this button to change those variables. So we can say R, G, and B. We want to change the color variables when we click the button. Let's say I don't care. I'm going to set them to a random number. So I'm going to just say a random number from 0 to 255 for each one of these. 0 to 255. There we go. So that button is now just going to set my RGB values to a random number of red, green, blue. And then when I push the rectangle button, it's going to set the color to the RGB colors that I randomly picked. Let's see how that works. So I draw a rectangle, it's red. I click change color, and I draw it again, and oh, it's a different color. And every time I pick a this button, I get a different color. Well, let's say we wanted to know what color we were changing it to. I would go to my on event here, and I could actually change the button. Right? I could go to here, and there's a set property issue here. I could go to set property, and under here I could say, let's change the background color of the color button to be those values. That's R, G, and B. So now when I push the button, it's going to set the property of the background color of the button to the values that I set it to be. So let's see, when we try this again, now I'm going to change the color, and you see it's going to show me what color the rectangle will be drawn at. So I can pick a color I like. No. I want something red. Oh, there's something red. Okay, boom. And there's the color of my rectangle. Now that I'm thinking about it, we should go back to our color button, and we should set its background color as red already. So we'll set the color as red. Oh, shoot, that's the text. Oops. We definitely want the text to be white. So let's move that over here. We can just make it a bunch of F's. There, it's the background color that we want to be red. So we can slide that over and make it a nice red color. All right, so now the button starts off as the color that it will be. So when I run this thing, it says, okay, you're going to draw a red rectangle, but if you want it to be green, you can click through until you find a nice green color. Should happen eventually. There we go. And that is my new thing. Now let's say I wanted to change the size of the rectangle. I don't want it to be a certain size. This rectangle is 160 by 225. That's the size of the rectangle, 160 pixels wide by 225 deep. If I wanted to change that, I could ask a little prompt. I could say, there we go. I could say, when I click, I set the fill color, and then I'm going to ask, I'm going to say, enter width, and call that W. And I'm going to do it again, and call this H, and say enter height. And then I'm going to set the width to W and the height to H, so that when I run this guy, now when I click draw rectangle, it says, oh hey, tell me the width, and I want it to be 50 wide, and I want it to be 100 high. And there we go, there's my rectangle that's 50 wide and 100 high. And oh, I want a new color. Let's make it kind of blue, and I want this to be 30 wide and 25 high. And oh shoot, let's see, oh man, that I only want one rectangle. So what I can do is say, when I click the button, I can go down here and say, oh, clear out the canvas before you draw a new one. All right, let's try that again. So let's pick a nice color. There's a nice dark blue, and I want it 50 by 50. And then I want a new one. And if I say 25 by 25, it erases the blue rectangle and draws a new green rectangle. Of course, this is a really silly app, but it shows you how to make buttons and how to affect their backgrounds. It shows you how to do on events, which allow you to do things when something happens, and it shows you how color works. So there's a lot of different things that you can do here, and I just thought I'd show you that one at random for what it is. All right, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you later.